The first question is to Pete to start things off on the important note. On the first presentation, you said that the idea of Soul came to you because you were doubting if animation was your purpose.
Mm.
And I wish we could have more time to talk solely about this aspect, because Soul seems very personal, akin to like a revelation of some kind. I'll ask this, considering the amount of time. Have working on this movie helped you with your existential crisis?
Yeah, instead of buying a Porsche, we made a movie. It would have been cheaper to buy a Porsche, as it turns out. But yeah, I mean, I think the joy of working on these films is that, you know, for 4 years, I get to come in every day and think about what is it that I'm here for? What is it I'm doing with my time? And obviously, that's not a new thing. It's not unique to me. I think a lot of people worry and think about that, which is one of the reasons we were attracted to this subject, because I think it is very universal, to question, how am I doing the right thing? Am I living the right way, both for myself and for the benefit of the world at large? Yeah, I guess I don't think the movie will pretend to answer that question. I think it mostly just brings it up as a question because everybody needs to figure out the answer for themselves. And I feel like I'm still in the middle of figuring that out. I kind of intellectually know the right way to live, but I think in a normal day you get pulled away from that. In other words, you know, just stopping and appreciating and being present for the things that we have. I know that that's the right way to approach it, but sometimes you just get stuck, you know, rushing and moving along. So I think it's a practice. It's something that I'm trying to work on.
In movie, Joe and 22, I don't remember which one of them particularly, have this moment of revelation when they realize that life is about appreciating these little things, like a falling leaf, for example. And I wanted to ask how you chose the moments on which they based their appreciation of life.
I think that one in particular was just because I think this is fairly true of almost everyone, that connecting to nature is really a fulfilling reminder of where we fit into the universe. I think we have this illusion that we are single beings detached from everything. And the more we can remind ourselves that we're connected, not just to the world, but to community, to other people, we're all connected in ways that are both physical and relational and emotional. So that one, the leaf one, I think came out of that sort of feeling. A lot of the other ones grew more organically out of the storytelling. Like, you know, we had a scene with Joe and his mom, and so the spool of thread, just some of these symbols that relate back to the storytelling. I'm trying to remember if, Kemp, if you have thoughts on this, jump in. Like how we chose those symbols or moments.
Well, yeah, I think we chose it for a lot of different reasons. I mean, there was a lot of it was also going back to Joe in the Hall of You, and this kind of the idea of like showing Joe's life as not being exemplary. And that started off as just like lots of gag ideas. But then we kind of challenged ourselves to look at some of those gag moments that symbolize being a loser or not having a good life and looking at them from a different perspective. So, you know, the example being a great example would be riding on the subway on an overcrowded subway train, which you see in the Hall of Joe. But then later on in the film, you see him riding on the subway, taking in the sunset. So moments like that could be seen if you just change the angle from which you look at it. Something that is bad could be seen as something actually good or something transcendent.
Moving on to 22, when she finally got to try out Earth, and she found out that it wasn't what she expected, and she had a general idea what it was about, but didn't know the details that make life beautiful. And in the same sense, did the movie turn out as you expected, and what were the details that made it beautiful?
I've kind of, I guess, worked on enough of these now to know that the movie that I have in my head at the beginning, I know is not going to be the movie that comes out. That it is a process of discovery and learning. We kind of find the movie as we go. I think in every case, the film turns out way better than the one that was in my head at the beginning. And in part, that's because of the great collaborators we get to work with. You know, we have such amazing artists and animators and technicians, and the visuals just become more stunning and glorious than anything I had in my head. Yeah, I mean, almost everything in the movie is even better than I mean, I can't think of anything particular that well, like the counselors. You know, I don't know that we initially thought of them as being as kind of wild and weird as these sort of glowing lines, you know, and that was something that was a lot of people brought to discovered that. And I don't know, Dana, you have thoughts on this?
The counselor specifically, I remember they started as just like a voice and you wouldn't even see a character, and we were like, oh, that feels too godlike. So then we kind of brought in the camp counselor idea that they're just kind of organizing. So, I mean, every character evolves as it goes. I can't think of anything either.
Talking about visuals, the most stunning one, I think you know what I'm talking about, the Joe fall sequence when he falls into the before life. And it's so incredible, mesmerizing, and I wouldn't say it's very interstellar of some sort. And when talking to animators, I asked about what is based on the process of creating, but they couldn't answer. Can you please briefly walk me through the process of creation this particular thing?
I'm glad you called that out. That's one of my favorites. It was storyboarded by one of our story artists, Trevor Jimenez, who I don't think we even really asked for that. He just delivered it as a way. I know we early on we had talked about the idea that there are different zones or different layers of reality, different what's another word? Dimensions. Yeah. And we had this idea that, okay, the Earth is probably the most detailed and tactile, and then as we go up in layers, they become more and more simple, more mathematical. But I don't know that we really asked for this scene of him following through, and it was really just out of his imagination that it was originally sparked. It was, again, kind of going back to mathematics. The more we learned about quantum physics and the nature of reality, the more math comes in. And so an idea of representing that in a way through graphics that could kind of hint at that was kind of what we were after.
But something like string theory, because there are a lot of lines. Yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly.
One of the most intriguing concepts of soul are lost souls that wander this dark, dusty desert. And were you ever a lost soul? And if yes, what brought you back to life?
I think we've all had moments in our life where we've felt lost. I know I have. And I think what's so cool that we explore is that you can come back from it. I mean, one of the things that I think we're trying to say is that like even like a healthy passion or purpose can turn dark, right? If you get too obsessed and you're not kind of present in your life and you're only focused on one thing. So I think it's cool that we explore that, because Joe thinks that having that one sole purpose is the right way to go. So
I think there are definitely moments where I felt so. I mean, even back on the original Toy Story, I was animating so many hours. I remember one night I'm walking home and I was still in the scene and I kind of bumped into a tree. And I don't know if you know about computer animation, things go right through each other. There's no, opposing force. And I was just so stunned that the tree, my hands didn't go through the tree. And I realized at that moment, that's such a weird thing to think, that I've probably been working too hard. I feel like there are moments like that where the work becomes so consuming that it starts to bend your reality and you start to get lost and trapped within it.
Your filmography, it seems very gradual. You dissect fear in monsters, you then love and friendship in art, then emotions and inside out. Now you come to the concepts of life and purpose itself and soul. And if you had to continue this sequence, and I'm not asking about your next movie, if you had to continue this sequence, what would be next?
Well, it's interesting to look at it. I think you're looking at it obviously from a viewer, from inside my head. I'm just coming at it from what's interesting and fun. What do I want to explore? What piques my curiosity and interest as an animator and storyteller? So the spark behind, say, Up was more of a feeling. Well, let me back up. So, like Monsters was just monsters. Yeah, that'd be cool. I want to animate monsters. And then the discovery of the story and the sort of theme of it is almost like going to psychotherapy or something, where you start digging down and you understand why is it, what's at the root of that? Why is it that monsters are speaking to me? Souls is kind of the same thing, where in large part it was started by trying to find something that we could only do in animation that really is fun and they could shape shift and we couldn't do it in any other medium, and then along the way we discover these sort of deeper themes. So unfortunately I don't know that there's really a clear answer to your question.